Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. When you come to the store, you're going to see things that you've probably never seen before unless you've been to a museum. Great items that go back to the Rockney era to the present. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Tim O'Malley with Tim Prister following Notre Dame's 44-34 victory over North Carolina, and a lot of this, Tim, went the way we thought it would go. Maybe just a little bit more scoring. I believe your score was in the 41-30 range, so I think there were more yards than we both thought, though, once you're approaching that 1,100-yard marker, and at some point you looked out there and just realized these defenses can't stop the offenses.
No, you can't, and I mean, it's not making excuses. The fact of the matter is, if you watch the first 7 North Carolina games, people can't tackle Sam Howell. And then you look at Notre Dame's secondary, and they're minus Kyle Hamilton, and it was a shaky bunch to begin with, let alone without him. So, yeah, Notre Dame gave up a ton. Once they started scoring, though, in the second half, Notre Dame scored 27 points in the second half. They were able to keep them at a bit of a distance, but it's difficult. Brian Kelly said you can't stop everything in the running game of Sam Howell, and he specifically meant quarterback draw, and they were beaten a few times by that. But Notre Dame presented their own problems to North Carolina's defense, and the main culprit, of course, was the incredible Kyren Williams.
Yeah, the offensive line received the game ball, probably because Kyren Williams got it last week. And we asked Williams about that. He said they deserve it, but Brian Kelly stated it best. Forget the play. Players make the play. And that was one of the best runs, considering the stakes, with Notre Dame pinned back up a touchdown at the 9-yard line in the fourth quarter that I have seen in the stadium.
Really incredible. And with each passing week, and recently we've been talking about the best Notre Dame back since Jerome Bettis. And
we could stop talking about the best Brian Kelly back right now.
There's just absolutely no doubt. He is just absolutely incredible. And the 91-yard run came after, I thought it was an foot ankle that kind of got caught underneath him. People that watched on TV had a better view of it, but he makes that run after getting banged up. He said he might have been a little bit dramatic on the sideline. I also asked him if he was aware he had 199, and he said, yeah. And I said, does it bother you that you didn't get 200? And it absolutely does, because that's the type of competitor that he is.
Jack Coan touchdown pass to Kevin Austin, important time of the game. Jack Coan touchdown run. And, there was a lot of joking about it in the post-game press conference, and Jack Coan took it in stride, and he kind of gets it. That is necessary in the offense, and I thought the 8-yard run where he maybe should have scored is necessary too, because you're going to keep having that given to you, and it's another element that's helping this offense right now.
And it's okay if he runs for 5 or 6 and slides. I realize that you would like to maximize those situations more. You're right. From the 10-yard line, he should have scored. But he just needs to keep them honest. He's throwing very accurately now. When he threw inaccurately to Michael Mayer, it stands out because he has become so accurate now. But I wanted to ask Brian Kelly, and I should have, do you feel vindicated a little bit in sticking with Jack Coan, because the whole world, including us, was saying that they should make a quarterback change to get stability. But you understand now why they wanted to go with Jack Coan. You certainly understand why they wanted to go up tempo, get the ball out of his hands, because he's become a pretty darn good quarterback the last 9 quarters.
Buckner continues to help them as a freshman out there, but I think it's important that Buckner is the 4th freshman out there right now. Joe Halt's playing every play. Lorenzo Styles is making big plays in back-to-back weeks. He could have had a huge one today with a drop deep ball. And Logan Diggs coming in and scoring and kind of finishing off that drive with Kyren Williams out. They found another running back now, and it's clear Chris Chire isn't quite there. He played and didn't return a kick. But, obviously they're going to need Diggs to spell Williams. He can't do everything out there. The freshmen are really coming on.
They really are. And Tyler Buckner, Brian Kelly and Tommy Rees have done a great job of balancing this now, where there are times where I'm turning to you and it's like, okay, put Buckner in because it's a good situation for it. So they have found a way to balance that, which is pretty incredible, because how many times do you see a quarterback duo, it fits and starts. And that still happens at times, but he was very effective. I also want to mention the offensive line, and they did get the game ball. Kyren Williams said they got the game ball and deserved it. 298 yards rushing, most of which, of course, belonged to Kyren Williams. But the progress that they have made. North Carolina was vulnerable to the run, but not that vulnerable. I mean, they were giving up 158 yards per game, which is a lot. And Kyren Williams' long run certainly blows it out of proportion a little bit. But the offensive line is just doing. We said that there was a cap on how much they could improve this year. it has far exceeded the
has,
cap
yeah,
in the
yeah.
last 9 quarters.
Yeah, and defensively, there were a lot of missed tackles. I asked Brian Kelly after the game about the uniqueness of trying to tackle Howell with trying to tie it in with they obviously have to tackle better next week because that's all it is when you play Navy is tackling better. And they don't have Kyle Hamilton for that game, we're sure. I thought he made a good point, though. He's like, you can't take everything away. We gave up the QB draw, and I have never lost a game in 30 years by giving up the QB draw. Now, maybe people felt 101 yards rushing from Howell was too much. He does lead the nation in rushing as a quarterback.
It's the 4th time this year these rushed for at least 98 yards.
I think the bigger problem was that there were some busts, and that's what they have to clean up going forward because you can get busts with your eyes against Navy and against Virginia, too.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't tackled consistently all year.
Yeah.
We understand that. I think you see a lot of that across college football because you don't tackle as much as you used to in practice because you got to try to stay healed up and play in the game. So it's still an issue. Notre Dame's defensive line, though, when all was said and done, did what they had to do. I think they ended up with 3 sacks, which is a little bit below what North Carolina had been averaging as an offense. But in the second half, when the offense finally took off, the defense did just enough, and they stopped them on inside the red zone at the end. They get a 10-point victory. I wouldn't say comfortable, but with the way the game was going, a 10-point victory is a little bit surprising with what Howell and the North Carolina offense did.
It is Sunday morning, so we'll be back with more this morning and tomorrow morning on our Monday morning podcast. We're losing track of time right now, but Notre Dame 44, North Carolina 34 from Notre Dame Stadium.